You know, something big is happening in the enterprise tech world right now, and it's forcing some of the biggest companies out there to make a really, really tough choice. What started as just another technical decision has exploded into a full-blown crisis of trust, control, and frankly, survival.
Wow. I mean, you don't often hear somebody talk about software like that, do you? This one quote, it just perfectly captures the frustration, the absolute chaos that erupted in IT departments recently. This isn't just about code anymore. It's about people and the platforms they bet their careers on.
So, what on earth happened? Well, the spark was Broadcom buying VMware, and right after that, they decided to sunset the Tanzu Application Platform, or TAP as everyone calls it. For all the teams who had built their entire way of working around this thing, the ground just fell out from under them.
And just like that, everything was up in the air. Teams were left scrambling, facing this critical decision with massive financial and operational consequences. It's like the road they were driving on just vanished overnight.
And that leads us right to the heart of the problem. Do you jump ship to the biggest competitor, Red Hat's OpenShift, or do you stick it out, trusting that what's left of Tanzu will be enough? But see, this isn't just a technical question. It's way deeper. It's a philosophical one about who you trust and how much control you're willing to give away.
So, on the surface, OpenShift looks like the no-brainer, right? The safe bet. It's the big established player. But as a lot of folks are finding out, moving to OpenShift isn't exactly a simple escape to some open-source paradise. And you can totally see why it's so appealing. I mean, OpenShift is a true enterprise-grade platform. It runs pretty much anywhere, on VMware, bare metal servers in the cloud, which is exactly what big hybrid companies need. For a manager who's worried about compliance and supporting thousands of developers, it promises that one thing they crave: peace of mind. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. OpenShift is a very specific, very curated, and let's be honest, opinionated product. Sure, it's built on Kubernetes, but it has so many custom Red Hat layers on top that trying to migrate away from it later is just incredibly difficult.
And this, of course, brings us to the big, thorny debate that every large organization has to wrestle with: the vendor lock-in dilemma. Everybody says they want to avoid it, but very few are actually willing to give up the convenience that comes with it.
So what is it? Is it a necessary evil, or is it a fatal flaw? On one side, you've got this beautiful ideal of freedom, of total control. And on the other, you've got the cold, hard reality of running a business at scale, where stability and support are everything.
And this, right here, just perfectly captures that split. You have one engineer who describes moving to a pure vanilla Kubernetes setup as serenity, but then almost immediately another user hits back with a heavy dose of reality: don't even think about it unless you're ready to give up your life outside of work.
Yeah, so let's talk about the real cost of that so-called freedom. That do-it-yourself path, it might sound great in a blog post, but it comes with a massive operational price tag that, honestly, most companies just can't afford to pay.
I mean, just look at this list. When you go DIY, your team is suddenly on the hook for all of this: certificate rotation, complex networking, logging, multi-tenancy, all while trying to keep hundreds of developers productive. It is a monumental undertaking.
And this is a really, really important thing to understand. The folks who lost TAP didn't just lose a version of Kubernetes. No, they lost a developer productivity platform. It was the thing that automated security scans, app deployments, the whole CI/CD pipeline. It was the collapse of their entire workflow.
Okay, so it sounds like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? The OpenShift giant or this DIY nightmare. But what if there's a third way? Because whenever a market gets shaken up like this, new and interesting players start to emerge.
You've got tools like Rancher, Talos, Omni, and Northflank that are starting to look really attractive. They kind of offer a middle ground. You get more control and flexibility than OpenShift, but you don't have that crushing operational burden of building it all from scratch. The space is definitely getting interesting.
Okay, so let's try to wrap our heads around all this. When you're in a crisis like this, maybe you need to look at the problem a little differently. It's not about finding some perfect, magical solution. It's about strategically picking your poison.
And this is the part that might be a little tough to swallow, but it's the honest-to-goodness truth for any big company. You are going to be locked in, whether it's to a cloud provider, a platform vendor, or heck, even your own custom-built solution that gets too complicated to change. Some form of lock-in is pretty much inevitable.
So the game isn't, how do I avoid getting locked in? That's impossible. The real game is choosing your vendor wisely. It's about picking the partner's handcuffs, so to speak, are the most comfortable, and come with really good support for when you need to get out of them.
You know, going through all of this has forced a lot of people to have this aha moment, this profound realization that the platform they were so worried about, well, it wasn't really the technology at all. It was something else entirely.
The real platform is your developer experience. That's it. The whole point, the ultimate goal of all this infrastructure is just to make it safer, faster, and less painful for your teams to ship software. So whatever you choose, OpenShift, DIY, one of the indies, it has to serve that one single goal.
Look, the one thing we know for sure is that this stuff changes. The world of enterprise platforms is volatile, and nothing lasts forever. And that forces every single organization to ask itself a really tough question. When the next vendor pulls the plug, will you be ready?